deGrom can't win. The Yankees are a mess, and we're gonna fix it. Diamond Diehards is on. Joe Rizzo here, bringing you baseball along with the dog, Jeff Healy. We have a lot to cover tonight, as we do very often. This is one of our live streams, our live shows. We don't do it as much anymore, but this is going to end up being a Thursday Night Live or something, we'll call it. And it's deGrom's already out of the game because Dawg could only take so much, and I don't think he wanted to be live streaming while deGrom was still in there. But a lot to do, a lot to cover. We're gonna fix what's wrong with the Yankees, believe it or not, and we're gonna fix what's wrong with why deGrom can't get wins, and a whole lot of other stuff on a really cool live stream. Don't forget that you can find us at Diamond Diehards everywhere: iTunes, Spotify, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and of course, right here if you're watching the live stream on Facebook, live streaming exclusively to the Facebook group tonight. Where are you, Uncle Paul? We will see you on there. I'm sure we will. And yeah, you want to check us out on all those places at Diamond Diehards. Either put it in the search or do at Diamond Diehards wherever you are. And if you're doing it on the audio podcast, hit that follow button because we need you, and give us a good rating. We'd love to have it. A couple of quick notes from our pals. FMS Graphics is a family-run, family-owned business. For over 50 years, Dawg, they've served your printing and promotional needs. FMSgraphics.com. FMSgraphics.com. Visit them for all your printing and promotional needs. Sports maps are a great way to show your support for your team with a cool piece of art for your home or office. Check them out at sportsmaps.com. That's sports maps, MAPZ, sportsmaps.com. Tell them that the Diamond Diehards people sent you, and you might get some good treatment over there. You get good treatment anyway, but you get even a little better treatment if you do that. And maybe we'll even work on a promo code for you guys coming up at some point. As you know, if you are familiar with the show, you know what happens next. If you're not familiar, then we'll give you a little background. It's myself, Joe Rizzo, and the dog, Jeff Healy. We have known each other for 30 something years, if you could believe that. And we were on the air together way back when on WFUV, the great radio station that is a public radio station and happens to double maybe as a student station at Fordham University. And we rekindled this thing a couple of years ago. Well, not even a couple of years, just a year and change ago. And we talk about baseball, and we do these live streams, and we do a podcast, and you guys have really helped support us, so we appreciate that. We've had some great guests over the course of the show, and even recently, if you haven't heard Greg Olson, check him out, the 1989 AL Rookie of the Year. And it's a podcast about baseball and about life, and Greg covered a little bit of the life stuff last time with an important message about how out of nowhere he had prostate cancer and went and got himself tested, and now his prognosis is very, very good. And that's one thing that happens when you go back and listen to it, and then later you get some laughs, and we do something called Die Hard Dads, which is a fun segment. And lately, Dawg, we've had a little bit more about the life stuff in baseball, and we're going to do a little bit of that with our veteran of the day. Dawg is our veteran of the day emeritus, as he's provided great service to this country, and we like to give back in our own little way by honoring some of those vets when we can. And this one is going to be a little more close to home for us. So, Dawg, and on a little more of a somber note to start the show, I'll bring you in for veteran of the day.
All right, thanks, Riz. Yeah, this is tough. Most time we're always sort of talking about happy stuff and celebrating stuff, but fortunate life has ups and has downs too. So this is one we're kind of thinking about our friend Father Russell Murray, from our dear friend from Fordham for over 30 plus years. Fortunately, one of his cousins, name of Jeff Casucci, passed away suddenly at the age of 49 a couple of weeks ago from Fairfield. He was a beloved husband, father, son, brother, cousin, and uncle. He had a beautiful wife of 24 years and his best friend, Alicia, who he wound up meeting when he was down at airborne school at Fort Benning. She was in Atlanta, so just went over to visit her there and had four great kids together. Jeff came from a military family as well, Bergen Catholic, so got the Riz connection there. Graduated West Point. He was an economics major, similar to me and Tom Cavanaugh, another friend of the show. He actually was married October 26, 1996, the same night as the Yankees, his team, beat the Atlanta Braves, her team, in the World Series. So definite sports connection there. After Jeff graduated from West Point, I think 2 years after I was commissioned, he served for 5 years as an artillery officer. My dad actually also was an artillery officer, so he served for 5 years at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. He kept supporting vets after he left active duty as well. He served for 5 years as president of Sticks for Soldiers, Inc., which is a charitable organization that raised awareness among high school lacrosse players about the sacrifices of U.S. veterans. His happy place, again, someone else has written down there. Riz, if you follow Riz always talks about his happy place. Was watching sports either in person or on TV, which again sounds pretty familiar to the two of us. His favorite sports teams, I had to put this one there because this is an unusual one here. I'm a weirdo Mets Giants supporter on there. He is, and I would say the only thing weirder than a Mets Giants dual fandom is a Yankees Jets fandom. So apparently Jeff was a Yankees and a Jets fan, which he literally might have been the only person I could think of who actually has those two. And also hat tip to Rob here, also the Pirates and the Penguins were two of his favorite teams as well. So somehow he kind of got into those guys as well. So yeah, it's really bittersweet. Actually not bittersweet, just sad actually. Kind of the whole way across, and just kind of ironic mixing of almost a couple of us together, kind of following along Jeff's life here. So it's a very sad one. So condolences from the show to his wife Alicia and his four kids, and hopefully he's looking down. Hoping the Yankees are turning around. The Jets finally found a quarterback, and things can be shaping up, but taken too soon. Obviously, one of the good ones. So Jeff Casucci, cousin of Father Russ Murray from Fordham, our veteran of the day.
And from the Bergen Catholic family side of things, it's our deepest condolences, and I'll be sure to spread this on the BC alumni page, which was, one of the places besides our pal Father Russ that, we learned about Jeff's passing. So Deus Vult from the BC community. And yeah, Dawg, it's like one of these where, we like to catch these guys when they're around to honor them. We've done our share of veterans of the day, both living and past. Sometimes it's been, I don't want to say gimmicky, but picking guys from the 1700s or something like that, like the first Purple Heart winner, which we've done, or somebody from the 1800s, or maybe some of the like there was Bullet Joe Rogan, a Negro leaguer from, had military service in the First World War, like things like that. But it's really great, if you can honor somebody who's your contemporary. We've been able to do that sometimes. Yeah, Greg Olson got to honor his buddy and his colleague last week, and that's refreshing. And somebody like Jeff, it would have been, it could have been at any time, where Russ could have said, "Hey, why don't you honor, why don't I nominate my cousin for veteran of the day?" And, then it turns out in a circumstance like this where, I mean, when I say really, it's the least we could do. If it gives somebody in the family just a little bit of comfort, then, we're glad to do our little part over here. So thanks, Dawg, for that great and poignant delivery. And now I guess we could start the regular part of the show, maybe the baseball part, a little more baseball, a little less life now. Uncle Paul is in the house.
Nice. Here we go.
Debbie Rizzo is in the house. Actually, she reports that Dominic Smith tied the game on a home run. So now Jacob deGrom is off the hook. But we got to start with deGrom, dog. So he goes four batters into the game and allows three runs, which is something I guess that he had done in Colorado, right? At one point. So that matched his season high. And he'd allowed what, six earned runs the entire season, like, so, and then he allows half that much, starting in July. um
Yeah,
and
and
then
you,
he just and then he decides after that, he's like, you know what, I think I'm just going to strike out everybody for the rest of the game here, and he ends up
you know what? I think
striking out 14 and 7 innings and allowing three runs and what, five hits, right?
it's
So
like, yeah, I think I got it now. All right, I'll just stop throwing the slider. I'll throw one of my other top pitches that when he had like two of the top four pitches, like the hardest to hit pitch among National League players. Yeah, I had some trouble with this with slider tonight. I mean, ironically, even like his start. So the guy rips the ball down the right field line. Like at first, getting the call out at third base, like for a leadoff batter, wound up being a triple because he did a great slide and pulled his arm out of the way while like Yormi was putting an incredible tag on him. But like that could have been it, and he wound up striking out the next guy. So it's like literally, I mean, just one call on there. I mean, a very very close play on that tag play. Originally called out, overturned on replay. Even with that, he might just been cruising like normal. Got hit an outside pitch. It was actually outside the strike zone. Just whacks it right down the line for a solo homer. And that's like most of the damage against him. It's just for one or two oddball plays. That's enough for trouble for deGrom. We've been so spoiled by him in all this time that yeah, I figured you got just one run in the top of the inning. I'm like, this we're set. We're good. Gonna run this right through.
I'll tell you what, dog. The among these absurd deGrom stats, and they are absurd, most of them, I feel like we might have run into the most absurd one tonight. That leadoff triple. After, first of all, the first pitch of the game, the guy fouls the ball right off his foot. I'm like, and I go to Debbie Rizzo. I'm like, not only is deGrom just dominant, now he's like literally making the players kill themselves, like out there on the field. Like, and then the guy hits this gapper. It wasn't even a gapper, right? Actually
Yeah,
pulled it. It was
just
like
yeah, it's,
a
yeah,
ground
he's
ball down the first base line, and that thing kicked on its second hop. I was like, wow, that thing just took off. He must have had crazy spin on it. I was wondering maybe if you use spider tack on the bat to get all that to get that spin
looks a
rate
spin rate on there.
and the ball. And the thing explodes into the corner. And so
Conforto with a
what
great throw.
yeah, once he reaches second, he's got the double, right? And now he's stretching. So if he makes third, it's a triple. But if he's out, which at first he was, and I actually didn't think that the evidence was good enough to like overturn the call because I thought the tag was kind of there. Anyway, so but they give him the triple. But either way, it was going to be a hit. It was either going to be in a double and an outstretching or triple. So he gets the triple. DeGrom had retired 37 straight batters in first innings of games. Like, what?
That is
That is
just mind blowing.
insane.
Over
That's
a game, over a game,
crazy.
over a perfect game.
Yeah.
Perfect
37
game of
straight. And then like think about it. If he gets that, he's got the guy in third, and then uh he strikes out Freeman, right? Like, and then eventually it's another hit and then the
yeah,
home run.
Albies I think got a single, and then the homer by I think Austin Riley, who's
Yeah.
just been a thorn in the pain and the Mets side this series.
Yeah.
But
So all of a sudden, DeGrom gets a lead for once, right? He's up 1-0, and now he gives up three, and you're like, what are you gonna do to
wait,
solve
wait,
it?
what?
So dog, what do you do? What do you do to solve it? The Yankees have started making trades. We'll get to them later. Um, do the Mets, like they're at the top of the rumor list now about getting outfielders or whatever, but you got Lugo. Literally, he's not only is he back, he's in the game, right? And the other guy that you're looking at imminently is Nimmo. who adds some more depth to your outfield mix, and certainly is gonna be plugged in, I would think, at the top of the lineup. So do you hang tight? Do you try to make a bigger trade? Do you bring in now? This is up for debate too. Do you bring in a pitcher? Do you bring in another pitcher because you're playing in these margins where your offense is ranked very low and you've gotten by basically because of most of the pitching that you have? But do you just fortify that and say, you know what, we're just going to keep trying to win games 3-2, 2-1, 4-3?
Yeah, I agree. I actually would bring in a starter, and if I'm going to be a slick GM, I may also bring in a higher level guy than maybe people are sort of thinking, to give me a little flexibility with Stroman for the offseason, as he's coming on the one season playing on the qualifying offer. Um, like a good GM not only is trying to take care of this season, but trying to look at them kind of going forward. So not necessarily even just a rental, kind of like they did with Stroman actually, a couple years ago, right? That sort of move. If it's great, obviously we got deep enough pockets to keep him around and whatnot. But um, I think that's actually a great move. I mean, especially with the problems that deGrom has had. I mean, if it feels like he's one throw too hard from having to be shut down for the year, right? I mean, we've dodged a bullet a couple times already. So if you have any hope, if you lose, a him or a Stroman or anyone else, that's pretty much it. So I do actually think, surprisingly enough, they actually do have a need in starting pitching. Having that also enables you to put Peterson, back in the pen, which he's probably a little bit better suited for that at this point. Your McGill, you've been kind of dancing through the raindrops on some of your back end rotation guys, and at some point that's going to start to come back to reality. So I do concur. I do think they need some help there. Um, you'd like to do something for the lineup. It's just tough to kind of figure. I mean, I think the presence of Nimmo is huge. He's such an on-base guy. He's got some speed to help him out and whatnot. They have just like I think they're like second to last in stolen bases in the league. Um, they need some creativity. Um, and do you get that? Do you try and get a big third baseman, figuring that maybe Guillorme and Davis aren't necessarily the answer down there? That maybe you have a hole there that you can kind of look to fill, possible. But yeah, I do definitely think they need some additional help. Syndergaard not being back is huge, right? And we sort of thought he'd be back and pitching by now, and either being a stud out of the pen or be able to go every fifth day or so. And now that's unlikely. Carrasco, who knows as well. So you've got significant holes that you've got to fill, and you've been lucky so far that the pitching's held up. But especially with the short season last year, you really have, to me, you literally cannot have enough arms this year, because who knows, when these guys hit 150 innings, they might be done, right? That just we haven't really gone through this. I mean, I guess since the strike seasons, like, and this would be like almost like the 94 into 95 season or something like that, right? Where you had the short season and then jump back to a regular season. Um,
Yeah, but even then, they made it to August 11th, so it wasn't that short of a season. I
yeah,
mean, it wasn't like last year, you
yeah,
know.
exactly. Yeah. So I was trying to think. I mean, yeah, there is no exact comp on it, but that's probably sort of last one we had on there. And frankly, the pitchers are different today. So than what we had back then. So yeah, I completely concur. I think starting pitching is likely a key ad for him, and potentially a bat.
And you can't trust that Carrasco and Syndergaard are going to come back and be effective at all. I
Nope.
mean, they'll come back probably at some point, and you're going to have to give them a shot. But if the Nationals keep playing the way they are, and if some of these other teams like the Braves wake up, and the Phillies, who knows? It's still a long season.
Yeah.
We're just about at the halfway mark. Um, you need to be able to beat back some of these teams. Like you can have stretches where you go under 500 for a 10, 15, even a 20 game span, as long as it's, 1 or 2 games under, and then you come back and you win 8 out of 10 to patch that up. And that's kind of the way that they've been able to do it.
Yeah.
But now they're starting to get some of these guys back. McNeil, you see McNeil in there, right? You see Conforto in there. That starts to change the lineup. So, I don't think, again, like you and I went over this ad infinitum. It felt like practically every show it was coming up in the off season where, what do you do about center field? And, you definitely wanted a guy that was more of an established center fielder. I was like, no, give me Nimmo and keep Dominic Smith in left. I mean, Dominic Smith in left is a foregone conclusion at this point. Like, there's no moving him out of there. Like, he's there, he's your guy. And if they lose the playoff spot or division versus a wild card by a game, I'm going to keep going back to the fact that they didn't have him in the lineup for opening day.
I love the fact you talk about so much because he's hit 2 home runs tonight. He hasn't exactly been like roasting the ball like the entire season on here. So
I love Dominic.
I know Smith, you love the Dawg. You always come out to torture me with that whenever you get a chance on there. Lugo throwing the ball away just killing me, by the way.
I know he's
so you start talking like, oh my lord. So
if you're piecing together where we are, we're in the 9th inning in Atlanta. The Braves are up. There's 1 out, and what is it? A guy in third.
Guy in third.
Winning run on third. Lugo's in a 2-2 count. Is that Riley? I'm trying to half watch it.
So.
I think it's Austin Riley.
Yeah, Goose killed us the entire season, the entire series.
So back in. So, Dawg, there's a couple of big things that happened on this day in history.
Sorted him. Lugo taking him upstairs.
Dawg's a little bit ahead of me, and he loves the fact that he is.
For once.
Wait, let's see. I gotta hit the goal.
It's a really slow feed. my Hulu. My Hulu has kind of live sports. I tell you, how about no one to fix the Mets? How about we stop batting Lindor second?
Who you gonna put? You got somebody better to put there?
Somebody's gotta be hitting better than 215, right? So, I don't know.
Well, he's your only stolen base threat at this point, and he did steal one tonight easily.
He did, and no one's been stronger for Lindor than me this entire time.
Well, listen,
start getting these guys back. Sorry, Francisco.
You're in first place with him performing the way he is. The most important thing about Lindor so far is that he has not brought the bat woes into the field.
Nope,
he's been stellar.
Yep, great in clubhouse. He's been great with all that. I mean, and look, the guy's gonna hit, right? I mean, his entire career, the guy's hit. So I don't have a doubt that he's. Oh, damn flashbacks over here. I thought we just lost, but yeah.
Oh my god,
that was familiar blowing it. It's different.
How is it that the Braves get noted Met killer Ender Inciarte up in the biggest spot of the game here?
It's Seth Lugo.
Why would you have walked somebody to get to Ender Inciarte when he incinerates your team?
I don't know.
Rojas, listen.
Sometimes
Rojas got a lot of shit since getting this job, and Rojas has him in first place. Now, listen. It's oh, by the way, I have the answer to the question that just made. It was because you walked Ronald Acuna to get to Ender Inciarte. Okay, you win.
Enough.
You win.
Defensive indifference. There you go. Go ahead and steal.
You can't shift this guy though. He could just, if you shift him, he'll just bunt and win the game. Probably just got to strike him out. Got to try to strike him out here, I think.
Bring in the big hook.
You don't want to hook. This guy's a put the ball in play kind of guy. So if you could strike him out, then that's really the guy that you want to strike out. He's probably not going to strike himself out.
0-2. But now throw the big hook. And
you don't want to throw anything in the dirt.
That's his out
pitch.
So, it's Lugo, man.
This is great though. We look at McCann. Is he a knee down guy?
No, I don't think so.
Let's
It
see.
better not be now.
Better not be.
I don't
This is
remember.
just-
Jump there.
This will just
Drop it
merge.
off.
This will just merge all conversations that we have on Twitter all day about like Shigon Nation and everything.
Tony
You
be
know
going
what?
crazy. If he puts a knee down and goes by and they lose the game, Tony's
When they do the close up,
ballistic.
when they do the close up of Seth Luger, they keep doing the close up of him when he's looking in with the brim of the hat down and he's got the intense look trying to get the sign. He looks a little bit like Al Leiter, just on the
He
eyes and
does
the
look like,
intensity.
that's a good call. That's a very good call. He totally looks like him.
The eyes and I got to see McCann. I got to see McCann though. I got to see if he's a one kneer right here.
He's not a one near.
He got yelled
old
at by
school.
deGrom in the first inning. Did you see that?
I did not. Well, they were wrestling. What's he doing? Oh God, I thought he balked. Jesus, this is freaking me out.
Wrestling? Wait, what? deGrom? That
Yeah,
was
like yesterday.
WWE wrestling.
Oh yeah, I mean they weren't like wrestling. They weren't trying to like injure each other. They were just goofing around.
Those were other Mets that were doing that in the tunnel.
Steve Cohen's like, what? What are you doing? So McCann let him beat. McCann let him win.
Oh man. So this comes back to like now, you know, if you're the Mets here, you've had to battle back and you're hoping for
Hey, the tomahawk chop going. Can we still do that? I guess we can.
Oh, in Atlanta you can.
Atlanta, I guess we can do it. Huh?
You got, man, I got a few things. I got to start writing this stuff down. I got that.
Good pitch out of the way. Okay, 1 and 2. All right, 1 and 2. You got to throw the big hook. That's Lugo's pitch.
Dog intense here, intense.
I'm dialed in.
Actually, his hooks, he doesn't really throw the hook low. He's more he more throws his hook to like drop it into the zone, right? So he's not as much.
He doesn't. Yeah, he's not. I mean, he's not
a pound the dirt guy.
Yeah, he's not a wild pitch guy.
He's not. Yeah. Oh God, you just jinxed the shit out of yourself.
I mean, he would never do that.
You just. Oh my goodness, Dog living on the edge.
21 pitches here.
I'm just gonna keep making notes. Alex Cora on with Mad Dog.
Good. Freddie Freeman's on deck. That's good.
College World Series. I just keep
throw the hook and end it
making
right now.
show notes here.
Here we go.
Fix.
Fouled it off, man. Tough. This guy is
Fix
tough
the
to strike out.
Yankees. Making more notes.
Yeah, we haven't fixed the Yankees yet.
Yeah, we're gonna. I promised Uncle Paul that we'd do that. He's on. He's in between our live show. I wonder if Uncle Paul, whose volume does he have on? Does he have us on, or does he have the Mets booth on?
Probably the booth. Probably both. Can he handle both?
Yeah, he can handle both. Uncle Paul could do it. He's a multitasker. He was our veteran of the day once.
He was.
Yeah.
We got.
This is great. So if you've never listened or watched one of our shows before, this was Dog like every Friday last year. We were doing Fridays.
Don't you put that evil on me.
and Dog would be half in the bag. It was like a drinking contest on the air.
Like the 10 o'clock Friday nights. Oh my lord!
Oh my god! Yeah, so we'd be.
It's like 11:15.
We'd start our live stream at like 10 o'clock.
Whoa!
And there would be
terrible call. Again, the Mets have gotten hosed repeatedly.
That ball four was.
That was
close.
Dumble ball.
Kind of thought it was close enough. What did the I didn't look at it exactly closely in the moment.
Good. Freddie Freeman's up.
Did the pitch tracker have it as a strike or a ball?
Yeah. I don't want to answer that. Oh no. Now I got my MLB update, so I know what happens.
Oh, well, don't screw it up for me. What the hell is that? What are you doing?
What am I doing? What?
Step on third. What the hell was that? Pick the fucking ball. I mean, pick the ball up and step on third.
You're ahead of me.
Oh my god. I can't kill him. I don't know. That's a fluke. What, Dog? You're not gonna believe this.
Wow. Well, now I finally saw the play. Now it really hurts. And I even knew what happened, and it really hurt.
Okay, so basically,
well, you know what? Once you didn't get Enciarte, that was it.
Yeah, but you pitch around him, you get 2 strikes, and you make him hit a ball.
Yes, yeah.
But,
you had to get him. You got Freeman on deck. You got to get him.
3-2, you got to get him. 2-2, you got to go after him. Probably, you're right.
But
the 3-2 pitch looked pretty good.
It
Okay,
was.
they're
They got
doing it
hosed. They got
again at
screwed
my
as
stadium.
usual. Atlanta,
So
House of
it's
Horrors.
bases loaded, two outs. Freeman hits a liner. It goes off of Lugo's left foot. Guillorme grabs it with the bare hand, and instead of he's the third baseman, Lugo is screaming at him to go touch third. Oh my God. And he could have, and instead he tries to throw it to first, and Freeman beats it by, just a step. He strides onto the bag as the throw gets there. But Lugo is screaming for him to go and just grab it and touch third. What's interesting, Dog, I'd like to see this again.
He
It
was
hit
he was
it
going to
hit
score
off
before
of
it.
it hit Lugo's foot, and then it's, oh my God, dude. If he picks the ball up and runs right to third, the inning's over. It's not even a question. But he's trying to make a play. By the way, if he makes that play, it's totally sick. If he makes it at first. So it's weird because he made an unbelievable bare hand play, a sick throw to first, but all he had to do was listen to the pitcher and just pick it up and step on that. That is a weird way to end the game. I'm going to say it right now.
Welcome to the Mets playing Atlanta for the last 50 years.
That's just crazy. Crazy.
That one hurts.
Oh wow.
That one
Wow,
hurts.
we even got a horrible from Debbie Rizzo. That was
That's a
pretty
roughie.
horrible.
That's a roughie. There's no other way to put it. Even as an experienced Met fan, I think I'm expert level in terms of tragedy. That's a
You know
toughie.
what? You know what's a great way to lose, Dog? Score 7 in the first inning, give up 7 in the ninth, and after two rain delays, they lose. And we bring you to our
And we're
Yankee.
going
We
to
bring you to the Yankee
Yankee
segment of the
update.
show. So here's the funny thing about it, right? So we're coming on. So that was June 30th for those keeping count. The Yankees score 7 runs in the first inning. Shohei Otani gets the start at the house that Ruth built. He's hit 3 homers in the first 2 games of the series. He lives up to every bit of hype. Now he's going to pitch, and the Yankees just don't even let him get out of the first inning while they're letting Aaron Judge sit on the bench and have a day of rest, which, by the way, Mad Dog's rant about that was hilarious. He's like, you can't rest him any other day. You don't have something. Sense of theater. Otani versus Judge of the Sports Center. Everybody else is going to show it. Anyway, so go back and listen to that. You give Mad Dog a little plug there. So even without Judge, they knock Otani out. There's one rain delay. There's two. Everybody, pretty much goes to sleep thinking like the game's over. It's not going to be finished. Whatever. The Yanks are in control. They let up 7 in the ninth, and they lose the game 11-8. However, as that's going on, the Mets lose. The Mets score 2 in the first against the Braves, and they lose 20-2.
That was quite Metsian.
And not only that about the Yankees on June 30th, they were not the only team to score 7 runs in the first inning and lose. The Cubs did it too. The Cubs scored 7 in the top of the first in Milwaukee, and they lost 15-7. So how about
Ouch.
that? So
How
there was a
about
lot of
that?
there was a lot of weirdness going on in baseball on June 30th, but now we're into July. So I mean, it's going to be even more weirdness, right? I mean, offenses are starting to wake up, but is the Yankee offense starting to wake up? And the answer is no, not really. They got rained out today. They got rained out today, which was another part of Mad Dog's rant yesterday. He's like, you don't have Judge in the lineup. Just rest him tomorrow. It's gonna rain anyway. He's gonna get off anyway. You know,
Not
um,
wrong.
wasn't wrong. He predicted the rain out, and it didn't even rain that much today, at least where I
It
am.
was
And I'm
it
not
was a, it
that
was
far
a
from
quick
Yankee Stadium.
call on that one. I thought I was
Yeah,
surprised how fast that game was called.
yeah. Especially for a team coming from California, you know.
Yeah, the getaway and all that, right?
Yeah, but okay. So anyway, that's that. The Yankees are 41-39, right? And you would think that the sky is falling. I mean, everything is, what are they going to do? Fire Boone, fire Cashman, fire everybody, fire you and the people you represent from Jerky Boys fame. Sue you and the people you represent. Saul Rosenberg, they want to fire him. He's like a fictitious guy. Doesn't even George Costanza. They're going to fire him. They want to fire everybody. So Hal
It's just
Steinbrenner takes the mic today and gives his version of like the vote of confidence, and he's saying, look, I'll go over the luxury tax. Like that's where people are saying I won't do that, and if I think that we need something to help us win, then yeah, I'll do it. But it's pretty clear that like actions are speaking, you know, consistent, at least consistently. I don't know if they're speaking louder than words, but they're speaking consistently where he's, you know, he doesn't really want to go over that. He's watching other teams that are, getting a third of the payroll of his, win more games consistently. But it's, Dog, it's sort of to me a lot like the Mets situation where you have guys on the Mets that they've had the injury bug more so than the Yankees have, but they don't have guys playing to the backs of their baseball cards as of yet.
yeah.
And that's what the Yankees have right now. And they go into that series in Boston. They're 0-6 against the Red Sox now. They get swept, and everybody's talking about how the young, spry Red Sox, the athletic young Red Sox, are making the Yankees look old and slow. And there's all these problems with the construction of the Yankee lineup, and this guy here and there, and they've had some key injuries, and we've talked about it too a lot here, that the construction of the lineup is, it's not, it's not great. I mean, when we say the lineup, we mean the guys that they're generally putting out there that are going 1 through 9. And we're not necessarily talking about the pitchers. The pitchers have been okay. You've had some problems at the end with Chapman, but that's only been more recent. Like, he was lights out. He had one of the best starts of his career to begin this year, and now all of a sudden he's having trouble. And any pitcher right now, Dog, anywhere that's having trouble, everybody's blaming it on the new
Spider.
rules,
It's
the
a
spider
spider.
tack, and the rosin and sunscreen mix, and Hector Santiago's the only guy gotten suspended so far. So everybody's just so quick. Like, there's a lot of laziness to me, a lot of laziness among fans, among media, who just want to just push it out there that, like, you got to fire the coach, you got to fire the GM, you got to. These changes don't take place in a vacuum. Like, what you need more consistency from the guys that you're putting out there. And their talent, is it enough to win a lot of games? Yeah, they have enough talent right now as it is to win some games. Do they need an infusion of something? Yeah, they need an infusion of something. If it was me constructing it, would I want more left-handed bats in there? Yes, and I would have, as I did, I talked about this in the offseason. I would want that infusion of left-handed bats to have been in there, not because it plays to the stadium at this point, just because it makes it a little more difficult for other people to manage against you, and it makes it easier for you to execute different ways in different situations at different times. So what I did, Dog, was I harkened back to the previous Fix the Yankees episode, where I came up with a formula that I really liked, and one of that pieces of the pie that I mentioned that night was, you got to really watch the Cubs and see if at any point they're going to part with pending free agent Anthony Rizzo. Now, I think they probably want to keep him. I think their fans want him to keep him. But if the Cubs now all of a sudden, as they're playing no longer the easy part of their schedule and now the very, very difficult part of their schedule, and they're going straight up head to head against Milwaukee and they're getting their ass kicked every night, if the Cubs start falling out of it, they have a big issue to decide on their future between Rizzo, Bryant, and Javi Baez. And the two right-handed guys for the Yankees, I wouldn't be interested in. For the Mets, I would be. I would
Let's
be.
say you take one, I'll take
I
one. All set.
Bryant more so than
Show
Baez.
solved.
Bryant more so than Baez. Baez doesn't.
Yeah.
The Mets don't really need what he's best at. They could really use what Bryant's best at. Hell, they could play Bryant in center, which he's done a little bit. They could play him at third. They could play him in center if they wanted to. And I don't know what you'd do about left. You probably wouldn't move Dominic Smith out of there. I don't know if you'd have to give up one of those guys
Yeah, I would. I mean, I would
to
do
get
Bryant
him.
at third.
Yeah, at third,
Would be
he's
a
a
thought.
perfect fit. He's a
Yeah.
perfect fit for you at third. Um, but Rizzo in the middle of the Yankee lineup would solve a lot of problems. And I know, look, it's the reason why you don't want to look to that left-handed hitting first baseman is because you have Luke Voigt, and he's very good, and you get him. He doesn't cost you anything, and he's a great clubhouse guy and whatever. But the truth of the matter is, dog, he is all those things. The other thing is that he's the one guy that you could move maybe in a deal like that, and
Good point.
you know that you actually have the flexibility to do it, because you're not getting Judge out of there, right? You do it for Stanton, but you can't move him. I mean, you could certainly explore that. um, and if Stanton hits, then he's going to be worth something. But if he's not hitting, he becomes an albatross. And he's kind of been somewhere in the middle this year when he's in there and he
Yeah.
has hot streaks. Especially in this day and age and in this climate, if he goes on a hot streak, he could just carry a team like few guys can. But again, he does make you right-handed and he does make you a little bit slow. And they don't they're still reluctant to try to put him out in the outfield. And again, I don't know if that's his choice. I don't know if that's Boone's choice. I don't know if it's Cashman's choice. I don't know if it's unanimous, whatever. But if it's me, I'm doing whatever I can, even if the guy plays once a week in the outfield somewhere. I don't care. Just get him out there. Does he have to be out there in left when Judge is in center? Can he go play right when Judge is in center? Can he play left when Judge is in right and you have Gardner in center? I don't, you know what? I don't really don't care. I don't care that much about the defense when those guys are out there. They're going to hit to pick up their defense. Plus, it gives the team a little bit of a different look. It gives you some more versatility. It lets you get Gary Sanchez, who's now hitting. It lets him get out of catcher and keeping his bat in the lineup and potentially keeping him hot. But if you could do something to get Rizzo, I think you should do it. He's a perfect fit for the team. You know that he can handle New York.
Yep.
Not only could he handle it,
He'll excel here.
he'll
It'd
excel.
be
I
great.
mean, and I'm not just saying it because he's cousin Anthony. I'm saying it because it's
Future guest of the show.
yeah, future guest of the show.
Can be sponsored.
I'm saying it because yeah, that would be nice. Um, I'm saying it because it just makes perfect sense. However, Dog, there's another team now that it also makes perfect sense for. And this is why I think there's more of a chance now of this happening than there was before. So there's a few reasons. The Cubs have started to hit some hard times. The Cubs they had played all bad teams for like a month and a half. Now they're playing all really good teams for the next like 2 months. And Rizzo's a pending free agent. He's probably the oldest of those three that are pending free agents. And if he's a first baseman, theoretically, he's the easiest to replace. Um, the other thing is the Red Sox could really use Anthony Rizzo, probably too. The first place surprising Red Sox, who at one point held Anthony Rizzo. I can't remember if they drafted him or if the Padres drafted. I think he was a Red Sox draft pick and then was traded to the Padres organization and came up there. So that would be like, theoretically a return to the Red Sox organization. And what do you think would happen if he was on the Red Sox? Like, do you think, like, I mean, it's the same thing as like the Yankees, right? Like, I mean,
just torture you.
yeah, it's just complete torture. I mean, it would be complete torture. So Rizzo's got to be the guy. He's gettable, I believe, unless he's really, really intent on just staying in Chicago and spending the rest of his years as a Cubby. But he's a guy to make a play at, and the guy that you could use to get him, I think, is Torres, is Gleyber Torres, and as much as I liked Gleyber Torres in the past, you have to give up something to get him.
That's a big give, isn't it?
I know, but I mean, it is contingent on you being able to sign Rizzo too. I think, that's probably.
That's a big nut.
I know, but you know what?
Torres is a great player, middle infielder. He can hit. You keep
I
playing him at the wrong spot for whatever reason, but okay.
well, no, that's part of the reason, Dog. That's part of the
Yeah.
reason. The part of the reason is you you need to move one of those guys out. And,
Anyway,
are you moving out LeMahieu?
that's
Probably
fair.
not.
Yep.
Can you get a lot for Torres right now? Probably you still can.
Yep.
And is Torres a shortstop? He's as someone who watches him often, let's say if there
You're
were a
getting
lot of questions
you're old and getting older though.
if
That's the
there
flip side of it, right?
if there were a lot of questions about Derek Jeter's defense, but
uh,
Gleyber Torres makes Jeter look like he earned every one of those Gold Gloves that he earned or didn't earn,
you
depending
can
on who you talk to.
certainly replace him in the offseason. Lots of shortstops available.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
Yankee Wild will be open.
if you wanted to,
So
if you wanted to look as far as the right now, right? I got another one. This is the other part of fixing the Yankees
can you move
that I got.
LeMahieu and keep Torres?
No, no, LeMahieu, I don't think is a guy that you're going to move because I think he's more valuable to your team than he is to other teams. I don't think he's going to carry value. I think other teams are going to look at his contract and be like, okay, it's not a bad contract, but I'm going to be paying him for a long time. And he's right at the beginning of it. And it's going to be 5 years after this. And if this is what he's hitting now and he keeps getting worse, it's going to be a bad contract. I don't want it. But on the Yankees, he's fine. So what do you have to
I mean, how many of these do you want to have? That's the problem.
no. So listen, you
Like
trade
you're giving
Torres.
Torres, you're gonna overpay for some shortstop. You're gonna have the
Oh
same
no, I'm not.
problem 2 years
Hold
ago.
on, hold on.
All
Just
right,
bear
all right.
with me. Bear with me. We'll worry about
Did
that in the
Rizzo bait
offseason.
me? Did he bait me on this one?
We're going to worry about that in the offseason, okay? Because our solution at shortstop is playing third base for us right now. Urshela could play shortstop. He's a better shortstop than Torres is. Flat out, he's better. He'd be playing shortstop if Torres wasn't Torres and Urshela was a guy with a bigger contract, he would just be playing shortstop. Is he great at shortstop? He's not Lindor, but he's better than Torres. He's not going to hurt you at all at short.
Mm-hmm.
So if then you can look at a guy at third base, then you go to the Indians where you have Jose Ramirez. Jose Ramirez is a switch hitter. Jose Ramirez does everything that you could want a player to do. He's versatile in the infield. You could play him at third. You could probably even play him at short, but he could play second. He hits for power. He hits for average. He can run a little. He's a smart ball player. He's a heady guy. He's good in the clubhouse. He's an impending free agent that, is I'm sure the Indians would absolutely love to be able to keep him or whatever the Cleveland team ends up being at the time he becomes a free agent. Um, but he's another guy. And look, those are two teams with whom you have a history of making deals. You have a history of making deals with the Cubs. You have a history of making deals with the Indians, whether or not it's been with the people that are in place right now. And they've been good deals in general for both teams when you've made them. So I would be heavily exploring those areas. And if you want to start undoing some deals that you made in previous years, where you're sending Torres back to the Cubs, and in a package there to get Rizzo, and you're sending Clint Frazier back to the Indians in a package to get Jose Ramirez. Of course, you're going to have to give a lot more than that now, but because of the way Frazier's dipped. But listen, you put a Yankee team out there that has Rizzo at first, LeMahieu at second, Urshela at short, and Ramirez at third. Then configure the outfield kind of any way it's going to be on a particular day with I don't know, Judge and right, Gardner in center, and Duhar or Frazier in left, and Sanchez behind the plate, and
And
Stanton as a
DH.
DH.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, like, whoa, this is a much, much, much different looking team. That team has the ability to beat you in a few different ways. That team has some guys who can put the bat on the ball. That team could play a little small ball if you need it. That team is a little tighter defensively than you had. Not a lot tighter, but you're tighter at third, you're tighter at first, you're tighter at short a little bit. all those guys are a little bit better than the guys they'd be replaced. Well, third would be a wash because Urshela probably is better
Right.
at third than Ramirez, but it's not. There's not much of a difference. Urshela is just, he's just a really good fielder who could play there. And then I wouldn't, like with the outfield there. I don't think there's too much that you're going to do. You could always, besides Judge, the other guys that are there could just bat 8 and 9. So I'd try to get, defensive guys or guys that can have longer at bats. And they traded for the speedy Tim Locastro earlier on this day, and he set the major league record to the start of a career for most steals without being caught until he was caught earlier this year for Arizona. So listen, they're obviously starting to look around. They're trying to add speed. They're trying to add maybe some versatility, get a little tighter defensively. But they could make. I think they could make those two deals and probably not have to give up, you know, huge amounts of talent. I mean, Torres and Voit have value, and if you're trading them in deals like that, you probably have enough to at least start packages to get those guys on your team. Whether you can get one, both, whatever, I think getting either one of them would help. But you got to move certain guys out, and the guys that you can't or won't move out are Judge and Stanton for different reasons. So you got to figure out ways to move these other guys out of there and be able to replace them with guys that could bat from the opposite side, and that's your way to do it. That's your avenue.
Yeah, I like you calling it. I agree. I do think they need to change things up. I think the defense has been an underrated weakness within the Yanks on there. I do think the ability to get the clutch hit is different. It's less than you've seen in the past. Like right now, the Yankees are basically all equipped to hit a 5-run homer, right? Like the entire lineup is sort of set with that, and they're tremendous home run hitters, but you don't have that extra versatility. And if you have a pitcher who knows how to handle that kind of lineup, um, there's not a lot you can kind of do with that. Um, I would still like to improve center. That's tough to do. And we kind of looked at in the offseason, right? That's when we were kicking around like Springer and stuff like that. Like, like how much would the Yankees be dying if they had Pilar? Right. I mean, that guy, I mean, now let me say that guy just came out of nowhere. I mean, I certainly didn't expect that from the Mets. And A, I never thought he'd get the opportunity, and B, I never thought he'd do with the opportunity what he got. But I mean, man, would he fit perfectly on for the Yankees right now
But
for
as
them?
another right-handed bat. I mean,
Yeah,
they're
that's the
trying to
downer.
get
But
that.
just
They're trying to get that with Locastro. I mean, he's a
yeah,
defensive guy with a lot of speed. He's a
yeah,
freak athlete that a lot of guys on his Arizona team were like, once this guy like unlocks, he's a little older. Once he unlocks it and figures out that he can hit, he's going to be like unstoppable.
yeah.
Now that might be, a little
Can't
bit of
steal
hype.
first. That's the problem.
Well, I know that there was a good article on him a few months back in the Athletic. So if you're on the Athletic or Google Tim Locastro, the Athletic, and you read a good article about him, that maybe it was his agent that was like putting it in there to pump up his trade value or something. But he got him to New York.
Worked. It
So
worked.
he's
He's
he
got a
went from
shot.
when you go from Arizona to New York in 2021, he's he's feeling, he's not feeling like the roof's caving in. he's feeling like, wow, I just went from a team that's like 4-40 in the last 44 games to 41-39. I'm above 500. How did I do
Woohoo.
that? That's a good trick. It's fast.
So yeah, um, yeah, I agree. I think it's good. How about the pitching?
The pitching, look,
It's been okay.
you,
You had
you're at
questions coming in, right? So
Yeah, you had some questions coming in. The bullpen is the thing that you got to really worry about, right? And in the past, if you had Chapman, now look, a few years ago he went through a horrible stretch, and they're like, you can't use him to close anymore. This is it. He's done, and blah 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 blah. I mean, he's going through a rough patch right now, and I sense that maybe his arm is a little tired. Maybe he's getting used to not having spider tack or whatever, to grip the ball. I don't know how the guy could ever grip a ball anyway. He sweats more than Moses Malone on the free throw line in the '83 finals. So, but like, come on. Um, I think he's having a rough patch. He's had some, he's given it up in some big spots in the playoffs. But again, he, when you give it up in big spots in the playoffs, when you're always in the playoffs, when you have heartbreaking losses in the playoffs, when you're always in the playoffs, the Pirates don't have any heartbreaking losses in the playoffs, since the former Pirate Sid Bream crossed the plate. Right.
Wow.
No, but that's
Just
the
taking a
point.
free shot at the Buccos there, huh? Come on.
I'm not.
You said it. They suck. They never make the playoffs.
I'm saying you don't. You
It's
have
hurtful.
the more when you have a lot of bad moments
That's true.
in the playoffs, it's because you're there a lot.
Yeah, you're
right?
you're on the mound in a clutch situation, right? So
Of course,
and not everyone can be Mariano, right? I mean that's
right. And even Mariano got beat.
Yeah.
The Indians and the Diamondbacks could tell you that, because those are signature wins in the history of the Diamondbacks and let's face it, in the history of the Indians too. Even though they didn't end up winning the World Series, I mean that was an historic victory for them when Sandy Alomar beat them. So, look, is he your answer in the end? I mean, there's other guys that can close games. And in the past, what you've had is you're like, well, if Chapman was screwing up, you got Zach Britton right there. And Zach Britton doesn't necessarily have the same numbers, but he's just as effective. And you could argue he's even more effective as just a closer. And, you and I have talked about this, like, why not let Chapman pitch the seventh and the eighth, or bring him in the sixth at some point, if you really need him to shut down. And then, Britton can handle the ninth, let him handle the ninth. But Britton's not, he's not healthy and he's battling it. So there's chances, and they're getting so much flack for the Rule 5 guy that they let go to the Red Sox. And, Adam Ottavino, who's been well, let's see if Adam Ottavino is still getting people out in, August 28th, and let's see if the other guys doing it as a Rule 5 guy all the way through the season. It's a half a year. They have to keep doing it, and they're the Red Sox and they're up to 50 wins, and they're putting some distance between them and the Yankees, and the Yankees are in fourth, so it doesn't look good, but they're not really that far off. But they're going to have to do something at some point to fix it, because I don't know if the magic potion is there right now. I don't think it's like the Mets, where the Mets, like, I think they could make a deal to get another pitcher, but I think they could just as well sit tight and feel like, the infusion of Thor, the infusion of Carrasco, those are like making deadline deals without having to give anything up. The Yankees, I don't know if they're in that same situation. I think they're more likely to go out and shuffle the deck here a little bit and take their chances that way.
There we
amen.
go.
Amen.
Amen.
Dawg, July 1st, 1987, what happened in New York?
I feared you were going to go with Bobby Bo, but that's not it. July 1st, 1987.
Oh, happy Bobby Bo Day, by the way.
Thank you. I knew you'd want to tag it into me. Is it the trade to get Coney to the Metsies?
It was the first day of WFAN in New York.
All right. Now where I was going. Okay.
I know. Do your curveball there.
That was good.
Yeah. So that's the first.
That was fun, man. I remember. Do you
remember
some of the? Let's see. Can we run down the lineup?
No, we don't have to, because we got other stuff to get to.
Okay.
Or to wrap it up.
Franklin.
And in I
was gonna say it was Die Hard Dad time.
Oh yeah, almost. 1992. This date. What happened? It's off. It's off the field. It's more.
OJ?
No, I don't think so.
Well, that was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. I'll give you a hint. God,
Jacob deGrom is such an attractive man. God damn it! Is there anything this guy doesn't have? God damn it, he's annoying.
6 kids.
True. Yeah. When you done, Jacob?
Yet.
Yeah, exactly. Yet. guys have like 8 kids. We are like freaking rock stars. July 1st, 1990.
We were tweeting about it before, especially me, and then you jumped on it a little bit. It's sort of like the WFAN thing in a way. It's a debut of sorts that has nothing to do with the field per se.
You have me. I do not know.
the release of a league of their own.
Oh, all right.
This date in 1992.
That's a weird release day.
As I said, it's in the middle of baseball season.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying for like baseball, right? Normally it's
as I
like
said,
May or June.
As I said on Twitter, Dawg. As I said on Twitter.
Should have read the headline.
A great movie, an epic baseball movie. Would you agree?
100%. Love it. Love it.
And
love
even now, it's like I feel like
the fun baseball where it sits in society at the time and stuff. Even like the women in relationships with the husband comes back and she's expected to give it all up and go back to being the wife to the returning soldier husband and stuff. Very cool in a not a heavy-handed sort of way. I think underrated aspect of the movie.
2 words, Dawg. 2 words. Betty Spaghetti.
Oh man, that was a goodie.
Others, okay. Fix the Yankees, check. deGrom, check. WFAN, check. A league of their own, check. College World Series. A lot of controversy that was surrounding it initially, right? With you were, we did.
Yeah, we didn't touch on that, right?
Our diehard dads is so easy. I forgot about what you did this weekend. Our diehard dads is going to be all you, at least from what you remember of the weekend. So NC State is the darling. They're upsetting everybody in sight. You figure that they're on one of these magic carpet rides, and they have their 2-game series with Vanderbilt, the favorites, the heavy hands. And all of a sudden, there's these, a couple of guys who are not vaccinated get positive COVID tests. And they're pushed aside, and they tell NC State, okay, you could play Vanderbilt, but you have 13 players. You could use 13 players, 9 position players and 4 pitchers. Go ahead and go out and beat Vanderbilt. How do you think that worked out? They hung tough. They lost 3-1. Now, at basically overnight, I think it was 2:15 in the morning or 1:30 in the morning local time, something like that. They would have a second game, which would be an elimination game. Winner goes into the finals, 3-game series against Mississippi State. They get sent home at 2:15 in the morning. Sorry, guys, you're not getting the second game with Vanderbilt. It's a wrap. You got guys in the team that have it, and now there's more positive tests, whatever, and you're done. You're going back. So is it a problem? Well, here's my problem. First of all, the way that it's handled was done in the middle of the night. You have 28,000 people or whatever in the stadium in Omaha. There's no provision for vaccine, negative tests, whatever, and they're all there and they're piled into one another. And then you got these guys in the field, and I can understand it for the not vaccinated guys if you have to send them home. Why are you sending the vaccinated guys? So I guess I'm just so confused by this whole thing. If you're vaccinated and you have it, are you spreading? I don't know. I mean, there's people in the stands that are spreading it, and they don't seem to care about that, or are they? Or if we don't know for sure that they're doing it, then we don't care. Like it's what's the point of the vaccine? Like, what's the point of it? I guess at that point. Yeah. So are they right?
There's got to be a reason to take it, right? So if you're vaccinated, you're and you're willing to take the risk of being in there, even though there's people around you who are infected, have at it. And how many of those guys would have done it? Everyone, right? Say I'm vaccinated. That's the whole point of having it. So
But there were, I guess,
why are you sending me home if I'm willing to take that risk? I've done what I need to do to live my life. Why are you sending me home
but there to me
when
there seems,
when I'm willing to take that risk?
yeah, there seems to be a bigger story here to me that doesn't really get looked at or reported, and it's that people who have been vaccinated are getting COVID like all over the place,
Hmm.
and they're not really getting sick from it. They're getting it, and they're getting tested because of, I don't know, contact tracing or whatever. Which these guys were getting tested because of contact tracing.
Yeah,
And I guess for except for two of the guys were not vaccinated, and I guess they were getting sick or feeling some kind of symptoms. Even the symptoms were minor. I mean, they went out and played games, and obviously, like, guys had it, and it wasn't really affecting them. So I don't know. I just don't know where you go with this whole thing at this point. But I've long been not a fan of the NCAA since my days at ESPN Sports Ticker when I was a college football editor. And I just really got like a front seat, firsthand look at how these people operate. And they don't care about the players. They just don't say what, I shouldn't say players. I should say students. If you want to call them student athletes, you can call them student athletes. They're not ever at any point saying, what's best for the student here. And I know this is a hot button topic. I know there's a lot of ways to argue it. And you could say, well, look, I mean, if a kid has a positive COVID test, then you got to send them home. But, what if everybody on the team was vaccinated and there were guys that have COVID? Like, then what do you do? Like, who are they affecting? If they're like, can they keep themselves contained among each other? Like, I don't know these answers, but I know that part of the vaccine that they're pitching is that if you get COVID, you're going to not have severe symptoms. You're going to, it's going to limit your hospitalization. So I don't know. There just seems to me, ever since those Yankees got it and they were vaccinated, and now all of a sudden, like, you hear these people that have been vaccinated and they're getting it, and they're being treated the same way as non-vaccinated people who get it. Like, it kind of, I don't know, the whole thing just, something doesn't add up somewhere, and there's not enough questions being asked or allowed to be asked.
yeah,
But I'd like to see this NC State thing. I'd like to see somebody really who is in the know take a good look at it and chronicle it and explain it to me a little bit better, because I feel like the kids got shafted, and I can't help feeling like that.
yeah.
I don't know why.
I'll be honest. I was kind of hopping around the weekend, so I did not get a chance to see that too much. I will say what it screams to me is that these are the rules that they set up 3 months ago, 2 months ago, whenever doing the planning for this. Um, Medical facts on the ground have changed significantly due to the vaccine rollout. And I'm going to guess there was a heavy bureaucratic overtone of this was the rules when we started the thing. And if you hit it, we're just following the rules as we go because that's the safest way to play it rather than someone just having some common sense. And I think it's like any other bureaucracy. That's always the default is just follow whatever we wrote down and we all agreed to. Can the Vandy guy say, "Hey, look, this is the rules. Why is this kid still here?" Right now, I have no idea if somebody did that on it. Now, you would hope that's not the case. Do they have an argument there? Right? Let's say, look, this is the rules. They followed it. And a couple of guys didn't get vaccinated. They popped hot. They ruined it for the team.
Yeah,
They
I
knew the
mean,
rules coming in, right? So
yeah,
you can say that's it's fair in a crappy sort of way, right? I mean, it's at
yes,
least that was the rules. They're dumb rules, but they're the rules.
yeah.
It's like getting pulled over going 60, right? I mean, yeah, right? Yeah. Is it really is what we're trying to do? I don't know, but yeah, technically, boom, you got me.
Meanwhile, Dog's talking about pulled over getting 60 and a 25. Dog, you
60
can't do that.
north of there. Well, north of there.
Dog, 60 and a 25 is not a good example. 60 and a 55.
There we go. Exactly.
Be more specific about that.
Exactly.
So Vanderbilt gets into the final series, and Mississippi State just destroys them in both games, and they win the title. And then but what was funny is the last out, they're losing I don't know, what was it, 9-0
Yeah, nine
at that
runs, right?
point.
Yeah.
And the Vanderbilt kid comes up.
Finally got some hits.
No, they only got one hit.
Oh, just one. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
he bunts two outs in the ninth, and they're about to lose. Like, they'd have to score 9 runs with 2 outs just to force an extra inning, or 10 to win it, and then beat them again the next day. So obviously it's not going to happen. So he bunts to try to get on base, and it bunts down third. It's a way too hard bunt. The third baseman picks it up, throws over to first, and the kid beats it by, like, a full stride, and the ump just calls him out. Like, I mean, it's not even like
Probably a little
they
strong.
don't even replay it. They never replayed it. They didn't talk about it. Wait, who was it? Carl Ravitch. Carl Ravitch was doing the play-by-play, and you could hear, like, it kind of fucked up his call, because he knew the guy was safe, and he could, like, if it was out, you'd be like, he's out on Mississippi State's got their first national championship, blah blah, and he, like, he's like, oh, and that's it,
Yep.
like, you
Yep.
gotta, if you go. So
So much. So much for that iconic call.
Dog, I captured the video on Twitter, and I pause it when the runner is touching first base, and the ball's coming at a pretty good pace, but it's still 10 feet away. The ball is still over, like, the grass, and so it's really clear from this picture that he's safe. And so I put the screenshot of that, and I put the last quote unquote out of the College World Series. And man, that was like a firestorm. That we got some good responses. First guy was like, yeah, that's what you get for bunting. Like, he should have called him, you should be out. And then Denny Hawking, the former major leaguer who we've talked about before, playing, every position more than like 40 times, one of like a few guys that's ever been able to do that. He's like, yeah, that was like the right, like, he had some tweet, like, even he was chiming in. I think Danny Schaefer, the former Rockies catcher, was chiming in about it. Like a lot of these guys were jumping in and saying, like, hey, this is that, like, somebody should teach these guys, like, how to. Or so I think Danny Schaefer was like, you'd expect that a guy, at that school would have been taught how to play the game right. And I'm like, wait a minute, like, does
Really
anybody
wasn't where I was
notice
going
it?
with this.
I'm like, well, I mean, first of all, like, yeah, I was like, come on, dude, you're bunting, like, now, like, just at least try to take a hack and hit it over the fence, like, so you get your name on it somewhere. Um, or maybe he was just trying, like, if it was a no hitter and he was trying to bunt to break up the no
Yeah, but
hitter
say
at the end.
that would be uncool. Right? I mean, the
I
guy's
don't
just trying to get
know.
on. You're down 9, right?
Yeah, but, like, so he
You
didn't
can't.
have
You
to.
definitely can't bunt. No hitter, 2 outs.
I
Oh my
know, but
lord!
but if you wanted to solidify yourself as being a dick, like, that would be the way to do
Exactly.
it.
That's
So whatever. It's like, see, but I'm thinking, like, everybody's taking issue with the fact that the kid bunted, and nobody's taking issue with the fact that in a national championship game, the fucking ump, like, just egregiously either decided that the kid should be out, and that's the end of it, or he just blatantly just blew an easy call to the point where they didn't even replay it. So some guys started chiming in and were like, these takes are horrible. Like, that the umpiring in the College World Series the whole time was, like, pathetic, and this is just like another example of it, and whatever. And I'm like, I didn't even put any commentary on it. I was like, this is the last quote unquote out. I didn't say bunting. I didn't say anything like that. And I knew he bunted because I was watching the game with non-producer Xavier Rizzo tonight. Um, so I thought that was really, really interesting, the way that baseball question kind of was born out there. And I think what it has to do with is there's a lot of this, old school versus new school unwritten rule stuff, and people are sensitive to it. Like, our generation, Dog, it means something to
yeah.
these people. Like, and I say people because there's, it's not just men that played the game that are talking about it. It's, the female fans, the female players that played the Missy Coombs of the world, who pitched professionally, She's chiming in. She doesn't want to see it like that. It's not, it's not like some old boys network. It's just the older generation
Mhm.
looking at you know
The right way to
these
play the game.
yeah these things, and just interesting the way that it comes up. I
Yep.
also did.
Did he do a bat flip when he bunted?
They don't
Brought
replay
the house
anything.
down.
They didn't replay it. So the other thing I did on Twitter,
Lunch
I just
angle.
put like I put a baseball emoji, and then I did a poll: Glenn Allen Hill and Willie Mo Pena, and I think only like one person voted on it. I'm like, but there's no context to it. It's just Glenn Allen Hill or Willie Mo Pena. Like I know people aren't supposed. I'm just gonna keep doing that and see if anybody ever catches on at any point. Like just vote. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. Like why wouldn't you just vote? Like I saw however many people like looked at the tweet. It wasn't
That's
a
because I
lot.
was too busy yelling at my appraiser today
Yeah,
for me to
that's true.
vote.
That is true. And one more thing, Dog. I don't know if you had a chance to hear it, but Alex Cora, the Red Sox manager, was on with Mad Dog on June 30th, I think it was. And man, he's candid. He is candid. And I thought it was really interesting. If you have a chance to go back and listen to it, it's you could get it on demand if you have the Sirius XM app. But I'm not,
Got the app.
it's
Okay.
it's a freebie.
Hmm.
It's a freebie promo from me for that. But there was a caller that talked right after that, and he's like, you know, this kind of sucks because I'm a Yankee fan, and I hate saying this, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but like, it's really kind of hard to not like Alex Cora. And I'm like thinking the same thing. I'm like, the guy's just owning what he did. He stands up there, he answers questions. And how do you knock? Like he was in the Red Sox dugout that win. He gets suspended and then subsequently fired for a year, and they are, one of the worst teams in the league. He comes back, there's no expectations, and they're in first place. Like, I don't know, either he's really good at cheating and covering it up, or he's just a damn good manager. I believe he went to the U. Gotta give him that. Um, it's a great listen. Like he talked about Hector Santiago, how Hector Santiago got suspended, and he's like, I don't know. He's like, Hector's really like, I just can't see him being a guy who's like doing that. And he goes, but how could I say that? Because I'm a guy who broke the rules and got suspended for a year. So I really like everybody would be like, man, you got to shut up. Like, of all people, you can't say anything. And he's like, I get that. Um, he talked about how he doesn't want to call for checks on pitchers like the way Girardi did against Max Scherzer for that same reason. He's like, I was caught like breaking the rules, and like I just feel uncomfortable like trying to call somebody else out for something like that. He's like, the only way I would do it is if the guys just were like showing me or telling me it's so blatant and they told me that I had to go do it. He goes, in that case, I'd do it. Otherwise, I'm not going to do it. I mean, so listen, if I'm the Yankees, I mean, I'm
Fully
putting
loading up.
fucking, oh yeah, I'm making a uniform out of,
Taking the ball off my hand.
yeah, I know. I'm making a whole
Skip, I might have done
jersey.
this a little overboard.
I'm making my glove out of spider tack at that point is what I'm doing. Like, so like,
Yankees are throwing a 55-mile-an-hour changeup because they can't get the ball off their hand.
I know it's got like, yeah, like,
It's like Bugs Bunny.
yeah, like goo, like ball gets halfway there. You got enough to like reel it back in, but Cora is a stand up guy. He cooperated with everybody that he needed to cooperate with, and he stepped up and he owned it. He talked about Carlos Beltran.
That's always one of my favorite, by the way, in all the corporate investigations. So I get that when following stocks and everything else like that. We're cooperating in the investigation. Oh, I mean when the FBI showed up and you said, "Come on in, guys."
Yeah.
It's like you're cooperating with it. Yeah, otherwise you'd be going to jail. All the guys with the warrants and guns showed up. You said, "Yeah, I think I'll play along now."
But look, I think I think he regrets it, and the guy's he's a damn good baseball guy, and he did what he did, and he's getting another
Yep.
opportunity, and he doesn't want to screw it up, and he's not, you know.
Yep.
So I encourage anybody
Yep.
to go back and listen to Alex Cora
He
on
took
Mad
it,
Dog, and
took it,
and they,
took his punishment and has moved on and try and be a better person. Right?
yeah,
That's all
and
he can
and
do.
he has a good relationship with Mad Dog, so I think that you get a little extra out of that interview because of that. But he doesn't have to come on and be so candid, and he really was. So I thought that was a big plus.
That's it.
And then if that's the baseball stuff, then we can move on to Die Hard Dads. I think I did that better than I did the opening where I was scrambling to do stuff because I
It's
going
tough. It's tough with our producer in the booth.
going producer list tonight. Got to turn the screws on that kid a little bit. Going to be
Focus.
interviewing another producer. I'll tell you about that offline. Um, Dawg. Last year we did, I think, a whole show about your experience going to the Ripken
The Ripken experience.
experience in what is it? Hard to Grace, Maryland, Aberdeen,
Aberdeen, Maryland.
Aberdeen, Maryland. About a 3 or so hour drive up from North Jersey, and I think that show did pretty good numbers. It was like something brings Dawg to the Camden Yards, or I don't know. It was something good. Go back and listen to that. Those A lot of the archives get hit pretty well. I think as people just discover us, they're pulling down a lot of the old shows and older episodes, and
Cool.
um,
Yeah,
you know,
this was a great actually this was a solid Die Hard Dad weekend. Actually, even before the baseball, I actually did a scout outing. We went out and did whitewater rafting with on the Lehigh River with Michael, my youngest, and a bunch of the other young scouts and stuff, which was really cool. So it was kind of a cap on a whole year. Like we basically fought through COVID like the whole time, and one nice thing about scouts, we got to do a lot of stuff outdoors. So it pushed us outdoors and made us do more outdoor meetings and stuff like that. So that was kind of a nice one to kind of drive on with that. We weren't able to do whitewater last year, so we were able to go out and get it done this year. So a great weekend with that. Hanging out by the lake. It was just a glorious time. Had to come flying back in. Michael had a game at 8 o'clock on Sunday mornings. We were out there and competed in that, blew that one, and then we went. I drove down to Maryland. Sounds like we could just stayed and camped, but we went down to Maryland again. And I mean, last year was just magical because kind of setting it back and sort of this, painting the word picture, as someone used to tell us way back when. When we were doing it last year, we're doing the show coming out of COVID, or in the heart of COVID on there, and didn't know if we were get to do anything. Right, we were all like locked in. We had to quarantine, and then you couldn't even come through states and all that stuff. And we magically got to go to Maryland and go down there, and it was just great, just getting to like just sit nearby each other. We were doing a 6 foot separation, and all that, but getting to be down there and down there for the baseball and the teams, and just seeing you know the Fenway Park replica and Camden Yards and stuff like that was just great, and hanging out with the families and all that. So it was a great time. So we go back down, and like you're always wondering, right? It's like how much of that was just like we were so locked down, like we were just like like soldiers just getting out of basic training, right? And we're just like going crazy because all of a sudden we could actually do something, right? Like, is it really as good? And I gotta say, it was just as good an experience this time. Just a wonderful time on there. We talked about a little bit on the Twitter and stuff. Just seeing the kids out there playing and playing wiffle ball and jumping up against the wall and the replica Camden Yards and stuff like that was just awesome. And like phones were around a little bit, but not significantly. It was basically just kids hanging around and being with each other and having a great time playing the games and doing it right. And a lot of fun on that. Michael did pretty well in the first game. There were a couple games, maybe not so much. He got I think a couple bunt hits, so I was kind of cracking up with that with our Shigon and stuff. We had a bunt double. That was great. So
down 9-0, bunt double.
it was 2 RBIs on two. Yeah, it was it was a bunt that turned into like a little bit of a little league, winging all over the place. But at the replica Yankee Stadium, by the way. That actually was different. We got to play in the Yankee Stadium field this time, and then we got to play on an actual Double-A stadium. Like it's for I guess the Aberdeen Ironbirds, I think it is that play there. And our guys got to go out and like play on that field, and that was pretty awesome to get that experience. So that was different from last year. We got to play on the big field on that one, and just a great setup. And I think I think the organization itself just does a great job with it. They've sort of expanded like different places around the country, and it's definitely something to kind of continue to support. I think it's a great thing that Cal's done, in honor of his dad and stuff. And I think it really has an impact on people. So just a really good time, really solid 5 or 6 days of diehard dadding. With some pops mixed in along the way.
Some,
a little bit. First start of the game per Nez. even the boy was gonna be a little teasing about that.
the
That's
parents
right.
got to let
Had it
loose
coming.
every now and then too.
Had it coming a little bit. So nobody's in danger. It was all good. No driving, all that stuff. So we're good.
Well, that means you set it up right.
Exactly. Yeah, we planned this out. We knew what we were doing. So it's good times. So good stuff from this diehard dad.
All right, Dawg wins Die Hard Dads for this day. It's like we're very Oriole centric these past couple of shows, right?
Yeah.
Greg Olson. He was talking about on the last show how he got a call from
From
Cal
Cal, yeah.
after his shortly after his diagnosis, and Cal had been through something
Similar
similar
situation,
just
yeah.
the previous year, which wasn't widely reported, but it was out there. I had checked that out before because I had an inkling about that call that had happened, and Greg came up with that part of the story for sharing, and I was like, I didn't
Just want to
remember
make sure, yeah.
necessarily that Cal had that diagnosis, but it was it definitely was out there and in the public, and we're glad that things are going well.
Yep.
For
Yep.
for Cal, for
Good
Greg,
guys.
for anybody else suffering through some stuff.
Yep.
All right, Dawg. I think we covered everything. FMS Graphics, you got to check them out. FMSgraphics.com, all your printing and promotional needs. Sports Maps, MAPZ, Sports Maps with a Z at the end. You can check them out, sportsmaps.com, for interesting artwork related to your favorite sports franchise for your home and office. Check them out when you have a chance. You can follow us everywhere at Diamond Diehards. You name it. Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. What else do I have open? Basically everywhere. And if you are an audio subscriber, iTunes and Spotify are the two main places, and we're on there. You could look for Diamond Diehards there and hit those follow buttons. I think iTunes now has a follow button instead of a subscribe, and I'm pretty sure it's a follow button on Spotify as well. So go to Spotify podcasts. They've done a good job over there. iTunes has upped their game as well. Uncle Paul keeps yelling at me to go on Odyssey. I don't know if we're on there yet. I gotta check that. But we're pretty much everywhere, and we want you to follow or subscribe so you don't even have to look. You just, whenever your podcasts pop into your app, then the latest shows will be there. You won't even have to go look for them. And if you want to, then tell a friend that you like Diamond Diehards because it's a podcast about baseball and life. And I think that'll do it for this bit of the show. It turned out to be a Thursday Night Live. We fixed the Mets. We fixed the Yankees. What else did we do? We told you what happened on July 1st, 1987 and 92. We pumped Alex Cora's tires up. We talked about the College World Series, and we did the Ripken experience for Die Hard Dad. So good job by Dawg on that. And also, if you tuned in late, we need you to go back to the beginning and listen to our very, very special veteran of the day. So that's going to do it for the Dawg, Jeff Healy. This is Joe Rizzo. Diamond Diehards is out.